I'm creating a new series that will help you with your vegetable garden. So at the beginning of each month, I'm going to be posting a video on this series so you can have an abundance of food. And don't forget, not everything that I mention is going to apply to you. Just take it with a grain of salt. Always check the description below because I will post links on anything that I mention. So I want to be able to help you as much as I can. Click here for my June garden tour so that you can see what I was able to accomplish last year, and it was just my second year gardening. So now in South Texas, where I'm at, I'm zone 9A. We have a mild winter season, so it's more of a cool season with temperatures ranging between 35 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. We also don't have too many frost days, just maybe about a couple a month. If you're in a colder climate, you can still use these tips. Just make sure you use them in the proper month. Remember, my temperatures right now are ranging between 35 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we're gonna do this in 3 categories. Category number 1 is things to do. This is the time to build your raised beds. Last year, there was a shortage of lumber because there was a lot of homes being built. So lumber was more expensive and you couldn't really find it. So if you're thinking of doing raised beds, think quick. I will give you 3 months. So technically you want to be ready for the spring. So you got January, February, March to get ready. I'm going to take you to my raised beds so you can see what I have and what I've learned so far. These are 2 feet high. They're made out of yellow lumber. They're not treated for anything, but I do have termite problems. So if you can invest in better wood, please do so. I'm gonna put the wood that is ideal for raised beds in the description below. Keep in mind, you don't need this as a raised bed. You technically only need to raise your soil 6 to 12 inches. You can do 6 inches. It's really inexpensive if you do it that way. These raised beds are a little bit more costly, but I chose to do it this way because I wanted the height. I wanted these to be at knee level. They're 2 feet tall, and I wanted easy access to my vegetable. I didn't want to strain my back, so I did invest a little bit more on making them higher. But you don't have to spend too much money to fill them. You can add logs to the first foot, and then the second one you can fill it with your soil. And the sun is out. Do you know why I say right now is a good time besides spring being around the corner? Is because these are labor intensive. You don't want to make raised beds in the hot temperatures. So cool weather, labor intensive is a good idea. And another thing to consider is once you fill them, you want to fill them all the way to the top, to the rim, and wait until you have a rainy day so that the soil settles. Then you can see how far you want the soil to be. If there's any areas that are not leveled correctly, you can fix those. And if you need to add some more soil, then just add some more. I've added some compost to these beds, but these were filled to the brim, and look how far they've gone down. So it's a good amount. If you're not too sure about the raised beds, I recommend starting with bags. Let me show you. These are some smart pots. I'm growing a calendula in here, but these worked really, really good for me as a beginner, and I love the handles. These are from Amazon. This is a thinner brand. The actual brand Smart Pots is thicker and they're more durable, but these seem to still work as good. The next thing you want to do is start composting. I have these 2 compost bins. They are an upgrade. I didn't have this until recently, but it's crucial to start composting because you do have to add that to your beds and it can get pretty pricey. I have a lot. I needed 2, and I will link them below. This is what my compost currently looks like, and I actually really do love these, and it's easy to turn it. Remember, this is a lot of compost. You can actually compost in these smart pots. You can put all your leaves and scraps here and just turn it in this small bag. And you know why it's the best time to compost? Is because you have a lot of fall leaves, trees that you're gonna prune, the retired plants in your previous vegetable garden, if you had one, that you can use. You have the material, and if you don't have any, you can start compiling it, and you can start with kitchen scraps. You can actually freeze those until you're ready to compost, or you can put them in the refrigerator. I have a backyard orchard, sorry for that, and I'm about to prune it. Check out that video next week, and I'm gonna add that to my compost bins. If you haven't checked it out, this is what it looks like, and it wraps around. I won't take you all the way because we are fixing that fence. We had some really strong winds and blew the fence pretty much, but this is what my orchard looks like. And another thing, if you're okay with worms, then a worm farm is the best thing you can do for your garden. I'm purchasing a worm cafe. I will put a link of that below. That's another form of getting rid of your scraps, is to feed your red wigglers, because once you feed them, then they provide the castings, the best castings that you can put in your garden bed. But you have to be okay with the red wigglers. I don't know, I've seen some videos and it makes me nervous, but I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna show you. So if you decide to purchase it, freeze your kitchen scraps so that when they get here, you have product to feed them. If you have your seeds, this is the time to start categorizing them. Make sure you read the back of the seeds and make sure that you understand everything. Read it a couple times. So now, once you've done that, now you have to separate them by season. Make sure you check out your seasons, and then split them by indoors and outdoors. If it's outdoors, make sure that whatever you're gonna plant is frost tolerant. If you still have some frost, which more than likely we're gonna have in January. If it's indoors, you want to know when it's the time to transplant. If it's 3 to 4 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, and so forth, so that you can start planting your seeds. I'm going to put a picture right here as how I started in 2019. It was just cups and foil tins. Another thing you can do is create your labels. Have them ready. Create a few labels for each one of your varieties so that you can plant in different areas and you have multiple labels for them. And the last thing to do is take inventory of your seeds. I can't tell you how many times I forgot what seeds I had or my seed name, and it's so common to do that. Make sure it's on your notes somewhere on your phone, or you can a shared spreadsheet that you can open on your phone. You know, just try to be a little bit more prepared, at least better than I did last year. Category number 2 is what to purchase. Now obviously, if you don't have any, buy some seeds. You really need those. I would say first buy them local and then look online. The second thing to buy is your soil amendments. If your climate allows you to sow in January, this is the time to purchase that. The sooner you can start building your soil, the better your soil is going to be. I'm creating my compost, but I did buy some castings and I'm going to show you what they are. These have been the best earthworm castings that I could find, and this is from Amazon. It's a big bag, 10 pounds. This is a new product that I'm trying. This is expensive actually, if you're considering what this is and what I paid for it. But remember I told you to invest in your soil? I'm gonna give it a try and see if it works. The reason why I'm trying rabbit manure this time is because you can actually put it directly in your beds, fresh, and it is just like earthworm castings. It's highly nutritious. You get more value of that little pellet than you do of any other manure. So I've done some research on it. I'm gonna give it a try. I've already mentioned this, but your gardening pots, this is the time to buy them. You also want to purchase your light system. I'm gonna show you what I used to use, and it didn't really work out so well, but my first year, that's what I tried, and it worked. This was my very first LED grow light. I purchased it on Amazon, and I used it actually right here. Take you inside my house. I clipped them on my shelves here, and I was growing my plants in these 2 shelves. I really wouldn't recommend them because they broke a little bit after I used them, so I'm not recommending them, but you can find yourself some good quality lights on Amazon. The next thing is structures. I'm actually purchasing them this year. Anything that you can use to trellis vines, you're gonna need them. The last thing to buy or to order is if you want to add some fruit trees to your backyard. January and February are really the only months you can buy dormant trees. So I would suggest you order them early. They start running out soon because a lot of people can buy them in December. So December, January, February, fruit trees. You can also go to your local garden center and they will have varieties there. But if you're planning on getting your different varieties that they're not going to carry in your local garden center, you have to order them online, and you have to get them when they're dormant because you have to plant them when they're dormant too. And the last category number 3, is what to do in the garden. Whatever you do, just keep in mind that you want to plant densely because you run the risk of mold and mildew because there's a lot of that during this time of the year. The cool season crops that you want to sow is anything that takes about 60 days to mature. Anything more than that, you're risking temperatures getting a little bit too high. And before you sow, make sure you check the weather. If you're gonna have a high rain day, you don't want to put your seeds in. If not, you're gonna run the risk. The same thing that happened to me last year where my seeds just kind of just drifted and landed in the randomest corners ever. Things you can directly sow are like root crops, radishes, carrots, beets. You also want to put your herbs. Herbs love the cool weather, like celery, fennel, cilantro, parsley, dill. Your peas, plant your peas. Peas are delicious. It's one of my favorites, and plant a lot of it. And don't forget your lettuces. Lettuces can grow all the way through May. And then you have your Swiss chard, your spinach, and your kale. Now we're gonna go with our indoor seeds. Check some of your spring and summer crops because some of them take anywhere between 10 to 12 weeks before you can transplant them into your raised beds. Like tomatoes. And don't forget about your flowers. You're gonna need those, so you can start sowing some of those indoors. Nasturtiums, they like the cooler weather, so you might as well start them now. They are edible, the flower and the leaf. So dual purpose, you can start bringing in those pollinators sooner than later. And the last thing that I wanted to mention was your starts. There are some plants that you just don't want to start from seeds, like strawberries. Strawberries are really hard. If you sow strawberries in from seed, you're not going to get strawberries the first year. You have to be really patient. A lot of them don't germinate, and I have one, and I'll show you what it is, that just now got mature enough to get me one miniature strawberry. I'm talking about, this strawberry was like this little. And I started a lot from seed and only have that one to keep going. So buy those from your local nursery if you can. Some other varieties are like broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. They will carry them at your local garden center. These are strawberry starts that I purchased, I believe, in September or October. And then somewhere in here, in between this tomato, is the ones that I planted from seed last year. And I would show you the strawberry that I harvested, but yeah, I couldn't resist. It was super tiny. You can tell how small it was, but it was very first one, and I'm excited to see what we're gonna get this year. You just can't compare. Look at the size of this strawberry. And I've got so many. This one got chewed up, but I've got so many coming, and this is my first set of strawberries to grow. I really hope that this was helpful. If you enjoyed this video, if it helped you, please like it. And if you're subscribed, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. Well, don't forget, next week I will be showing you my winter pruning, and I believe my next video is going to be on all my new seeds. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.